Let's talk about something truly terrifying. A scenario most of us just push to the back of our minds. You're home, you're all alone, and then the unsinkable happens. In this explainer, we are going to walk through the medically backed steps that can turn a moment of sheer panic into a clear plan for survival. Just picture it for a second. That crushing weight on your chest, you're struggling to breathe, maybe a sharp pain is shooting down your arm, and there is no one there to help you. This single moment, this is what we're preparing for. The stakes could not be higher, and what you do in the next few seconds is absolutely critical. And you might think this is some rare one-in-a-million event. It's not at all. Over 380,000 Americans experience a heart attack while they're alone every single year. So this isn't some abstract what if, it's a statistical reality that you really need to be ready for. Now, here's the really shocking part. Research shows this massive preparedness gap. A staggering 89% of people over 60 have no idea what the correct life-saving steps are. They panic, they freeze up, or even worse, they do things that can actually hurt their chances of survival.
But, okay, enough with the scary stuff. Here's where we pivot to hope. A really groundbreaking study found that seniors who knew exactly what to do in the first 60 seconds, well, they increased their chance of survival by an incredible 73%. Think about that. Just 1 minute. That's the window of opportunity that knowledge gives you.
So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to arm you with that exact knowledge. We're going to cover 7 scientifically backed techniques, all supported by top medical institutions, that can empower you to take control in that critical moment. Let's dive in.
All right, let's jump in. Our first tip, number 7, is all about planning ahead. It might seem almost too basic, but you have to remember, this is for a moment when your brain is not working properly. See, during a heart attack, the oxygen flowing to your brain drops almost immediately, and that really messes with your ability to think clearly. And if you're thinking, oh, I remember my own address, well, you might want to think again. A study in the Journal of Emergency Medicine found that 2/3 of seniors couldn't recall their own address during a 911 call. This isn't a memory problem, it's a biological one. It's your brain literally being starved of oxygen.
So what can you do about it? Here is your actionable game plan. First, write down your full address on a bright piece of paper and tape it right next to every phone in your house. Next, program 911 as number 1 on your speed dial. Trust me, hitting 1 button is way easier than 3 when you're disoriented. Always keep your phone charged and nearby, wear your medical alert device, and give a spare key to a neighbor you trust.
Okay, tip number 6. This is a technique that can buy you precious time. It's called cough CPR. And look, when it's used correctly, it can help keep blood flowing to your brain just long enough for you to call for help or to get your medication.
So here's how it works. The very first moment you feel symptoms, you take the deepest breath you possibly can. Then you cough, and I mean a hard cough, from deep down in your chest. You just repeat that cycle, deep breath, hard cough, every 2 seconds. Each one of those coughs is like a little squeeze on your heart, manually pumping blood when it's struggling to do it on its own.
Now, I need you to listen very carefully here. This is extremely important. Cough CPR is only for when you are still conscious, and it's really only effective in the first 30 to 60 seconds. And it is never, ever a substitute for calling 911. You have to think of it as a bridge to get you to that phone call, not as a replacement for it.
All right, tip number 5. We've all heard this one, right? Take an aspirin during a heart attack. But here's the thing almost nobody knows. How you take it can make it work up to 50% faster. So the crucial point here isn't the what, it's the how.
I mean, just look at this chart. Research is crystal clear. If you chew an aspirin, it gets into your bloodstream and starts working in about 14 minutes. But if you swallow it whole with some water, it takes 26 minutes. You absolutely must chew it. It lets the medicine absorb way faster through the lining of your mouth. That's a 12-minute difference. 12 minutes is an eternity when your heart muscle is dying from a lack of oxygen. Chewing just one 325 milligram non-coated aspirin can make a world of difference. So keep one in your purse, by your bed, in the kitchen, everywhere.
Okay, let's shift gears. We've talked about prepping your environment and your plan. Now let's talk about prepping your body. These next few techniques are all about how you can physically reduce the strain on your heart until help arrives. So tip number 4 is all about your position. And your first instinct, it might be to lie down, flat on your back. Don't do it. Instead, you want to get into what doctors call the cardiac survival position. You sit up, leaning against a wall or some pillows at about a 45-degree angle. Then bend your knees and keep your feet flat on the floor. This simple position uses gravity to take some of the workload off your heart and makes it easier to breathe. And, of course, loosen any tight clothing right away. Next up, tip number 3 is all about fighting that dangerous instinct to hyperventilate. When panic sets in, we start taking those fast, shallow breaths, right? Well, it turns out that's one of the worst things you can do. Instead, you need to practice paced, diaphragmatic breathing. It's simple. Breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts, hold it for 4, and then exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 counts. This will actually help slow your heart rate and get more oxygen into your system. All right, we're coming to our final 2 tips, and honestly, these might be the most critical ones of all. They focus on just one thing: removing any and all barriers that could stop first responders from getting to you as fast as humanly possible.
And that brings us to tip number 2. Just look at this timeline because it explains everything. A locked door can delay paramedics by an average of 11 minutes. But get this, you can lose the ability to walk within just 3 to 5 minutes of a major heart attack. That's why your very first action, and I mean before you even call 911, has to be to unlock your front door.
And here we are, the number 1 most important tip. A Harvard Medical School study found something amazing. When patients used their prescribed nitroglycerin correctly within the first 3 minutes, their survival rates were almost identical to people who had a paramedic right there with them. But the magic word there is correctly. So let's walk through the exact protocol, step by step. First, sit down. You should never take it while standing up. Place 1 tablet under your tongue and just let it dissolve. Now you wait 5 minutes. If the symptoms are still there, take a second tablet. Wait another 5 minutes. If there's still no improvement, you can take a third and final tablet, but you never take more than 3 in a 15-minute period.
Whew, okay, that was a lot of information, I know. But just hearing these techniques isn't enough, right? The whole point of this explainer is to move you from just passively learning this stuff to actively preparing. Your plan needs to start today, right now.
So let's make this super practical. Here's your survival to-do list, things you can do today. Go make that info card with your address and tape it by your phones. Go stock up on the right kind of aspirin, the non-coded 325 milligram kind. If you have any cardiac risk factors, please talk to your doctor about getting a prescription for emergency nitroglycerin, and start practicing that controlled breathing just for a minute a day so it becomes second nature.
So I'm going to leave you with this one simple question. The knowledge you've just gained in the last few minutes can literally be the difference between life and death. But knowledge only becomes power when you put it into action. So my question to you is, do you have a plan?